Hi guys, Jackie from Famished Farm. We're here in Northwest Alabama working on some hardware for our new decorative woven fence. You'll see I've got these 12-inch drop bars, which are super heavy duty for this little gate that we're working on here. But we just are trying to keep the gates open or closed too, actually. And so we're going to put one on each side of the gate. This will open up and allow the 46-inch mower to go through. So we did find that we had to kind of modify a little bit. Normally both of these would be on the back side of the gate, but because of the overhanging branches, we had to put the second one on the front side of the gate. They'll work regardless, but oh yeah, look what I find. This particular upright has morphed and it is actually out of its little space, both on the top and the bottom. So that side of the fence has gone kind of wonky. Still, I think we'll keep the dog out, but at some point I may have to redo that. Now, this is the final product from last week's video. We did the mulching of our new North Privet hedgerow, and I'm going to show you here just some of the growth. This is actually the lilac that we added to the bed. We just mulched a little area so we could include that. And then this is the typical growth on the privet hedges so far. We're super happy with how this turned out. Even after the storms that came through, this section fared pretty well. We put a nice thick layer of mulch on it. We'll still eventually have grass encroaching on it, but for now, very happy with that. Now, as I give you one last view, we're going to flip the camera around and you'll see the area that we had some trouble with. This looks great right now, but after our rainfall, we had 5 3/4 inches of rain on Saturday. That was the day that the storms came through the south. And unfortunately, we'll show you some pictures later. This is earlier in the week, though. We're trying to get some projects done before that rain hits. So I've decided to work on the planter on the north side front of the house. You'll see that little mound of landscape fabric. This fabric is so old, it's really good quality. You cannot hardly rip into it, but it is nearly see-through. So when we originally moved in, the only things living on this side of this mulched in area were there's two of these big boxwoods, and then there's a tall upright shrub, which I think is an ilex, but I'm not positive. So we're going to pull out this landscape fabric, lay down some cardboard, and then mulch. And we're reusing the mulch that I've been wood chipping from all the tree debris that falls off our trees in the yard. Up here, I'm working on dividing a couple big liriope, that's also known as monkey grass. And what I've done is over the last couple of years, divided it so it will border the planters on both sides of the front door. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put some cardboard down and then mulch the area. This was one of those projects that took a lot longer than I expected. And mainly it was because of this, trying to figure out how to save the mulch. And I ended up doing a couple different things. This way kind of worked out the best. Use the landscape fabric to move the mulch onto the new cardboard areas, and then you see me kind of fluffing it up there, and then I'll just slowly move that big section of mulch onto the new cardboard, and then I cut off the landscape fabric where it's been cleared, and then we'll just move down in sections as I add cardboard. Unfortunately, this took so long, dividing the plants, weeding the planter, and cardboarding everything, that this is about as far as I got that particular day before the storms moved in. And this is what the storm left us the first part of the day anyway. This was 2.5 inches of rain that came in a really fast period of time, probably a half an hour. So it really flooded the front yard. We've never seen it flooded this bad before. And I'll pan over to the south side of the driveway, which is where the dogwoods are, and that newly mulched bed of dogwood. This was quite the mess. I had to come in and trench alongside the fence. I'll give you a shot of that closer. This was probably about 30 feet of digging that I've got going here. I'm going to come back through and mound this up better, create a berm in front of it, and then reseed it. But that's what we've got to hopefully keep this from happening again. That ground is just totally saturated. So the last couple of days we've moved inside and decided to work on reorganizing our utility room. One of the first things I did was cut out the drawers underneath this workbench. I just used a reciprocating saw and hacked away at them. The drawers were never very functional. So I'm going to put a shelf of some kind in on both sides so we can slot some things underneath. But we do love this utility room. It already had some really nice heavy duty wood shelves put up. The ceiling height is about 11 feet, so there's tons of overhead storage. And then we just kind of threw in all of our existing organizational stuff when we moved. This little shelving unit used to be by the water heater. So on the other end of the room, we moved it over here so it's a little more functional. And as you can see, here's all of our Christmas stuff and different boxes that we keep things organized in. These little shelves I added, and that's mainly right in there for my gardening stuff. And then I'll flip over to the other side of the building and show you what we still need to get organized. This side basically has nails and some organizer strips that are not utilized very efficiently, so we'll get that worked on. And then panning to the far end of the room, there's the electrical panel. You can see the pipes for the water heater, and then that tall 11-foot ceiling, where this side is pretty good. That's where we took out the little shelf unit. We pushed the table saw back against the wall. And this is my pile of giveaway sell stuff. You can see we use the carport to kind of keep things staged out here so we'd have more room to work inside. The next day, everything is pretty much put back into its place from being out on the carport. And I'll show you, these are how we repurposed the drawers, the thicker drawers that were underneath the workbench, and started to get this wall organized a little better. We can actually see the workbench a little better now. We added an 8-foot shelf above the workbench surface, and we moved some of the chargers onto the wall. We may put all 4 of them on the wall there, but I still haven't figured out what to do down here. Any ideas, guys? And then I just want to give you a quick update down in the basement, the starts. First 2 trays here are mainly tomatoes, 4 different kinds of tomatoes. We've got some flowers started in that area. These are 2 pepper plants I bought because my peppers are still kind of stunted. And just more good stuff down below here. This is where the heat mat is down below, so that's where mainly the little guys are. I'm doing succession planting of the lettuce and cabbage and some other things. We did have a couple tornadoes across the river from us, but we were safe up here in Northwest Alabama. So hope you all were too. Thanks for being here.